This Uchis album is just such baby making music. Ooh. Uchis is a Colombian-American R&B singer who has made some waves over the past few years. This is her actual full-length studio album, her debut one. She's had a few mixtapes. Didn't really get too much buzz, but it's clear that this new one has elevated to more success. Of course, R&B singers have been the talking point for quite a while. I mean, I feel like SZA helped like propel some of these more underground R&B singers to the top. Her album has definitely been very influential, and as much as I thought the album was good, I didn't really think it was as worthy of all the hype that everyone else was saying it was, mostly because I just didn't feel like everything that she was singing about was that interesting, although everyone else seemed to think it was. But there were some amazing songs on that album, some of the best of last year, and of course I feel like now we're going to keep hearing more and more of these R&B type singers break through. Uchis was on Tyler Creator's album last year, of course giving her more buzz for this album because she put on some great features on that album. Some of the better songs on that album I thought were from her. And Isolation, it is not disappointing to me. I think this is gonna go down as one of R&B's best albums for 2018 for sure. Perhaps it's not the most original thing, but I think the production is so glossy and it's so bass driven as well. It's so smooth. I really like how all the tracks just feel very natural and authentic. We have such a variety of production as well, considering how concise this album sounds. You've got Thundercat, you've got Bad Bad Not Good, you get Bad Bad Not Good, you've got Gorillaz, you've got Ramil from Brockhampton, you've even got Steve Lacy, who produced probably one of the best EPs of the year with Raven Lenae's EP. Definitely go check that out, especially if you love this, because there's even one track on here that totally reminds me of that Raven Lenae EP. That track is Dead to Me. It's got the which is really eerily similar to that Raven Lenae track. But I don't think it's like a rip-off or anything like that, because I think it was quite clear that Raven Lenae had her own influences, but it was just something I thought was worth noting. But the track itself is completely different anyway, because it just has this really like sort of like bloodshot, just like straight to the point chorus with like, you're dead to me. A lot of these tracks seem to be focused on like relationships that have gone wrong. And I think the issue with that SZA album, I know I keep mentioning it, but I think the issue was that like SZA had all these issues with these guys, but then she kept going back to them anyway. Whereas like Uchis is a bit more self-aware and is a bit like, hey, you know, like you did me wrong. I'm just not going to hold back now. I'm just going to tell you what I really think. On the track Miami, it's similar as well. On this track, she's talking about how like a relationship has broken down, but the person that she was with was very manipulative, very controlling. And I like the reference to Kim and Kanye West, because on that part she references Bound, the track with the controversial video, well, Bound 2 I mean. But what she's referencing here is that she says like she'd rather be a Kanye, and in the sense that like society has seen Kim Kardashian kind of sort of like used her body for a sort of gain, whereas Kanye might have more of used his brand. I know that could be seen as something that might be sexist or a feminist issue. You know, you don't have to have a problem with a woman doing that. But I think the way she uses that in that context is actually really quite clever. But regardless of what you think of that lyric, she's more or less just kind of going through the motions on each track, just sort of expressing her feelings, but in quite an empowering way, I feel. And what helps all of this is, of course, the production. We get Damon Albarn singing on one of the tracks as well. He does a really good vocal feature. She just sounds sensual throughout the whole thing. Like, she just sells the vocals incredibly well. It's just dripped in like this oozing just R&B gorgeousness. And I know that could be applied to like so many R&B albums, and I'm sure so many critics use that as their excuse. You know, I'm sure I probably said a similar thing to in my review for the Kalela album last year. But I just feel like when it's done right, like that album and this album, you can't help but notice that there is just something so strong about the way the tracks flow in a sort of like sensual kind of way. And I think the variety of production shows that Kali Uchis actually has such a good style with her music as well. Even if you're not really into this album, I feel like that is telling in itself. I mean, we have Bootsy Collins on After the Storm, which was a single on this album, with Tyler, the Creator 2, a great track. Tyler, the Creator, of course, referencing Flower Boy. Now that it's become so successful, of course, he's probably going to keep doing that every now and then on features. But Bootsy Collins is playing bass on this track as well. And yeah, it just works incredibly well. Nuestro, Planeta is this amazing Latin-inspired track featuring a guy called Raycon. Of course, her Colombian roots are coming through on this track, and it's so nice to hear it comes so naturally as well. You know, you always hear these Latin-type songs with like English singers on them, which is fine, but you know, when you hear it done so authentically and it's not done by like XXXTentacion, it's just so refreshing. Which might be a problem with music in general if that's kind of like the bar we've set now. Like if an American singer isn't doing a Latin sound, then it's impressive. I don't even know, but it sounds great anyway. It's a great Latin dance track. Feel Like a Fool is like this jazzy inspired 60s sounding track, sort of reminding me of like something the Supremes would have done. I just love the way the chorus just moves along so swiftly. Definitely reminds me of that era of music. And yeah, I just mostly have rarely any faults with this album. I mean, I could see the argument that maybe it's not the most original thing and there are too many different R&B singers out there right now that sound the same. But I think Kali Uchis has way more to offer than like a Kalani. I mean, come on, she's just so bad and boring. Like I just think that this has got more to offer than just being an ordinary R&B album. So many different styles, different features. It's a great album, man, and again, it'll go down as one of the highlights of the year for sure. I'm gonna go A-. I'm gonna go pretty high. Great album. Gonna be one of my favorites. Kali Uchis definitely deserves a lot of attention. Hope she gets some buzz from this album in the mainstream. Don't know if she will, but she has the opportunity since it's quite trendy right now. We'll have to see. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the album. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. But most importantly, let me know your thoughts on this, because that's the biggest highlight of 2018 and we all know it. Subscribe to the channel for subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Oh boy. And have a good day. Have a good day.